You know, for a planet that's considered the most dangerous, it's actually quite beautiful. I mean, sure, everything is trying to kill you from dangerous alien species, carnivorous plants, an AI synthetic robot girl that works for a huge technology supply corporation, but all in all, there is beauty in the Badlands. I mean, what's even funnier is that they never once said Badlands at all. But all jokes aside, this movie I would say is easily one of the best Predator movies in the franchise. I'm talking $105 million budget, a soundtrack that's on the same level as Dune, and a storyline that we fans didn't think we could get for like a long while, if I'm being honest with you. Now, don't get me wrong, we've had Predator comics and Predator games, but to have a Yautja as a lead for a movie was really long overdue because when it comes to the sort of lore and backstory on the Yautja world, we don't know too much about it, which is why I like this movie because it gives us a little bit extra on the Yautja culture of sorts. You see, the movie follows Dek, a young Yautja who's eager to prove himself and he wants to be part of the clan. But here's the thing, his dad is a fucking dick. Like, I'm not surprised at the climax of the film, Dek didn't tell him, "You're not my dad. You're just a predator." Which totally did not happen. But anyways, when Dek goes to this planet to hunt and prove himself, he meets Elle Fanning's character. Now, I'm not gonna lie, 2025 has had a lot of duo roles, and Elle really does a great job. She plays two sisters, Tessa. Now, she's a very sort of cold and calculative, synthetic, whose archetype is kind of like, the strict, mission only is the focus, that kind of character. And then you have Dia, who is, which you probably guessed, is the opposite of her character. She's, kind, she loves animals, she's into science, that sort of deal. Because here's the thing, Deck and Elle's chemistry, and there's a certain third character in the movie that I will not say. Those three are the real highlight of the movie. Because don't get me wrong, the action is spot on. But in my opinion, I feel like the action is in the passenger seat of the car. And what's really driving this movie home is Deck's character development slash growth. Because with this movie, Deck is so used to the Yautja way, the Yautja culture, and that when he meets Elle Fanning's character, he sort of learns, and it obviously, what he learns and what he experiences with Elle helps his own growth because basically, when the shit goes down, everything he's learned and he's experienced helps his own character to want to stand up to his dad, which is kind of a spoiler. Sorry about that, y'all. Now, one last thing I want to talk about is Weyland-Yutani. Now, those guys can suck my dick because the thing about this movie and what I like about this movie is that it bridges the connected franchises together. Because for those who aren't aware, Weyland-Yutani is a company sort of antagonistic figure in the Alien franchise. And with this movie is that it uses the Weyland-Yutani in a very creative way because when you think about it, in a sense, you have Tessa from the Alien franchise who works for Weyland-Yutani versus Dek from, the Yautja, the Predator franchise. So when you put these two together, it's kind of like an Alien versus Predator movie in a way, which is why I really like it because you don't really need to have a xenomorph fighting a Yautja. You can have Weyland-Yutani synths fighting, a Yautja. And if we're being real here, this is almost like a little taste of what to expect. Because the thing is, we're probably not gonna get a Alien vs Predator movie till like I'm pushing 30. So if anything, shout out Dan Trachtenberg. I hope I said that right.